Krishna. Dear devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, just near the English Channel, otherwise known as the Haven. Hythe in Anglo-Saxon translates into haven. So this is the safe haven. We welcome you back, all those who are out there in cyberspace, those who are new, hopefully, welcome, especially, and those who are regulars, welcome, and we hope you're safe and hale and hearty and happy in these very difficult days we're passing through in this era. Srimad Bhagavata Mahima Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami glorifies the Srimad Bhagavatam in such a wonderful way, and also indirectly the Gita, because it's also literary incarnation of Krishna. It goes like this. Sarva Shastra Dipiyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. Own nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kali Dvandoditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life, heir of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Savasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Man Nistadaka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhu tadayin atini chochata kada hanamun chagadachin mam premna rit kantayokspura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, we've reached the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, the vision of the universal form. We're starting with text 6. Now Krishna is getting down to it. He's not just speaking philosophy, he's showing Krishna how he has entered into this material world and is maintaining it and destroying it. Okay, text 6. Pasya dityan basun rudran ashival ashvinau marutastata bahun yadrishta purbani pasyascharjani bharata. O best of the Bharats, see here the different manifestations of the Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard of before. Purport. Even though Arjuna was a personal friend of Krishna and the most advanced of learned men, it was still not possible for him to know everything about Krishna. Here it is stated that human beings have neither heard nor know of all these forms and manifestations. Now Krishna reveals these wonderful forms. Text 7. Ihaikastan jagat kritsnam pashyadya sacharachadam mamadehe gudakesha yatchanyad drashtumichchasi. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, moving and non-moving, is here completely in one place. Purport. No one can see the entire universe by sitting in one place. Even the most advanced scientist cannot see what is going on in other parts of the universe. But a devotee like Arjuna can see everything that exists in any part of the universe. Krishna gives him the power to see anything he wants to see, past, present, and future. Thus, by the mercy of Krishna, Arjuna is able to see everything. Text 8. Natumang shakshashe drashtum aneynaiva swachakshusha divyam dadamite chakshu pashyame yogamaishwaram. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Purport. A pure devotee does not like to see Krishna in any form except his form with two hands. A devotee must see his universal form by his grace, not with the mind, but with spiritual eyes. To see the universal form of Krishna, Arjuna is told not to change his mind, but his vision. The universal form of Krishna is not very important. That will be clear in subsequent verses. Yet because Arjuna wanted to see it, the Lord gives him the particular vision required to see that universal form. Devotees who are correctly situated in a transcendental relationship with Krishna are attracted by loving features, not by a godless display of opulence, of opulences. The playmates of Krishna, the friends of Krishna, and the parents of Krishna never want Krishna to show his opulences. They are so immersed in pure love that they do not even know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In their loving exchange, they forget that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the boys who play with Krishna are all highly pious souls, and after many, many births, they are able to play with Krishna. Such boys do not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They take him as a special personal friend. Therefore, Shukadev Goswami recites this verse, Itang satam brahma sukhanubha dasyam gatanam paradaivatena maya shritana naradadakena sakam Bijajru Kritapunya Punjaha. Here is the Supreme Person, who is considered the impersonal Brahman by great sages, the Supreme Personality Godhead by devotees, and a product of material nature by ordinary men. Now these boys, who have performed many, many pious activities in their past lives, are playing with that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 10:12-11. The fact is that the devotee is not concerned with seeing the Vishwarupa, the universal form. But Arjuna wanted to see it to substantiate Krishna's statements, so that in the future people could understand that Krishna not only theoretically or philosophically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually presented himself as such to Arjuna. Arjuna must confirm this, because Arjuna is the beginning of the Parampara system. Those who are actually interested in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and who follow in the footsteps of Arjuna, should understand that Krishna not only theoretically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually revealed himself as the Supreme. The Lord gave Arjuna the necessary power to see his universal form, because he knew that Arjuna did not particularly want to see it, as we have already explained. Text 9. Sanjaya uvacha evam uktva tato rajan maha yogeshwaro harihi darshayam asapartaya paramam rupamashvaram. Sanjaya said, O king, having spoken thus, the Supreme Lord of all mystics, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, the Personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Text 10 and 11. Aneka vaktra nayanam, anekad bhuta darshanam, aneka divya varanam, divyaneko yatayudam, divya malyam varadaram, divya gandanulepanam, sarvascharya mayam devam, anantam vishvato mukam. Beautiful Sanskrit. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine, upraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding. Purport. In these two verses, the repeated use of the word many indicates that there was no limit to the number of hands, mouths, legs, and other manifestations Arjuna was seeing. These manifestations were distributed throughout the universe, but by the grace of the Lord, Arjuna could see them while sitting in one place. That was due to the inconceivable potency of Krishna. Text 12. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yugapad Utita Yadibhak Sadrishi Sasyad Basas Tasya Mahatmanaha. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. Purport. What Arjuna saw was indescribable, yet Sanjaya is trying to give a mental picture of that great revelation to Dhritarashtra. Neither Sanjaya nor Dhritarashtra was present, but Sanjaya, by the grace of Vyasa, could see whatever happened. Thus, he now compares the situation, as far as it can be understood, to an imaginable phenomenon, that is, thousands of suns. Text 13. Tatraikastam jagat kritsnam pravibhaktam anekada apashyad devadevasya sharide pandavastada. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe, situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. Purport. The word tatra, there, is very significant. It indicates that both Arjuna and Krishna were sitting on the chariot when Arjuna saw the universal form. Others on the battlefield could not see this form because Krishna gave the vision only to Arjuna. Arjuna could see in the body of Krishna many thousands of planets. As we learn from Vedic scriptures, there are many universes and many planets. Some of them are made of earth, some are made of gold, some are made of jewels, some are very great, some are not so great, and so on. Sitting on his chariot, Arjuna could see all these, but no one could understand what was going on between Arjuna and Krishna. Text 14. Tatak savismaya vishdo rishtaroma dhananjayaha pranamya shirasa devam kritanjalir abhashata. Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances, and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord. Purport. Once the divine vision is revealed, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna changes immediately. Before, Krishna and Arjuna had a relationship based on friendship. But here, after the revelation, Arjuna is offering obeisances with great respect, and with folded hands, he is praying to Krishna. He is praising the universal form. Thus, Arjuna's relationship becomes one of wonder rather than friendship. Great devotees see Krishna as the reservoir of all relationships. In the scriptures, there are 12 basic kinds of relationships mentioned, and all of them are present in Krishna. It is said that he is the ocean of all the relationships exchanged between two living entities, between the gods, or between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Here Arjuna was inspired by the relationship of wonder, and in that wonder, although he was by nature very sober, calm, and quiet, he became ecstatic. His hair stood up, and he began to offer his obeisances unto the Supreme Lord with folded hands. He was not, of course, afraid. He was affected by the wonders of the Supreme Lord. The immediate context is wonder. His natural loving friendship was overwhelmed by wonder, and thus he reacted in this way. Text 15. Arjuna uvacha pashyami devangs Tavadeva dehe sarvang stata buddha vishesha sangan brahmanam isham kamalasanastam rishings chisarvan udagangs chadivyan. Arjuna said, "My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents." Purport. Arjuna sees everything in the universe. Therefore he sees Brahma, who is the first creature in the universe, and the celestial serpent upon which the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu lies in the lower regions of the universe. This snake bed is called Vasuki. There are also other snakes known as Vasuki. Arjuna can see from the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu up to the topmost part of the universe on the lotus flower planet, where Brahma, the first creature of the universe, resides. That means that from the beginning to the end, everything could be seen by Arjuna, who was sitting in one place on his chariot. This was possible by the grace of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Text 16. Aneka bahu dadabhaktranetram pashyami tvam sarvato nantarupam nantam namadyam napunastavadim pashyami vishveshvara vishvarupa. O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes, expanded everywhere, without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. Purport. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is unlimited. Thus, through him, everything could be seen. Text 17. Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha tejo rashing sarvato diptimantam pashyami tvam duniriksham samantad diptanularka dhyutima prameyam. Your form is difficult to see. Excuse me. Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, spreading on all sides like blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. Text 18. Tvam aksharam paramam viditavyam Tvam asya vishwasya padam nidanam Tvam avyayak shashvatat dharma gopta sanatanas tvam purusho matome. You are the supreme, primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inexhaustible, and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. This is my opinion. Text 19. Anadi madyantam ananta viram ananta bahum shashisurya netram pashyami tvam dipti hantasya vaktram swatejasa vishwamidam tapantam. You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. Purport. There is no limit to the extent of the 6 opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here and in many other places there is repetition, but according to the scriptures, repetition of the glories of Krishna is not a literary weakness. It is said that at the time of bewilderment or wonder or of great ecstasy, statements are repeated over and over. That is not a flaw. Prabhupada is anticipating the mind of the conditioned soul hearing this. Text 20. Dvau a pritibhyor idam anantaram hi vyaptam tvayai kenadishascha sarvaha dristvad bhutam rupam ugram tavedam lokatrayam pravyatitam mahatman. Although you are one, you are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O Great One, seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed. Purport. Java Prithivyo, the space between heaven and earth, and Lokatrayam, the 3 worlds, are significant words in this verse because it appears that not only did Arjuna see this universal form of the Lord, but others in other planetary systems saw it also. Arjuna's seeing of the universal form was not a dream. All whom the Lord endowed with divine vision saw that universal form on the battlefield. Text 21. Ami hi tvam surasanga vishanti kechit vitak pranjalayo grinanti swastit yuktva maharshi siddhasanga stuvanti tvam stutibi pushkalabihi. All the hosts of demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them, very much afraid, are offering prayers with folded hands. Hosts of great sages and perfected beings crying all peace are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. Purport. The demigods in all the planetary systems feared the terrific manifestation of the universal form and its glaring effulgence, and so prayed for protection. 22. Text 22. Rudraditya vasavo ye chasadya vishwe shrinau marutas cho pramas cho mapascha gandharva yaksha surasiddha sangha bhikshante tvam vismitas chaiva sarve. All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadyas, the Vishwadevas, the 2 Ashwis, the Maruts, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. Text 23. Rupam mahat te bahubhaktra netrang mahabaho bahubahurapadam bahudanam bahudang strakaralam drishtva lokam pravatitas tataham. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form, with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, and your many terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I. Text 24. Nabak sprisham deeptamaneka abharnam And again, na bhaksprisham diptamanekavarnam vyattananam diptibhishalanetram drishtva hi tvam pravyati tantaratma tritim na vindami shamam cha Vishnu. O all-pervading Vishnu, I see you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths, and your great glowing eyes. My mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. Text 25. Dangstra kara lani chate mukhani drishtvaiva kala nalasannibani disho najane nalabe chasharma prasida devesha jagan nivasa. O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance, seeing thus your blazing, death-like faces and awful teeth in all directions. I am bewildered. Text 26 and 27. Nami chatvam dhritarashtrasya putra sarve sahaiva vanipala sangahi bhishmo dronak sutaputras tataso sahasmadiyar apiyodam mukyahi sahasmadiyar apiyodam mukyahi Vaktrani te tvavaramana Vaktrani te dvadamana vishanti Dangstra karalani bhayanakani Kechit vilagna dashanantareshu Sandrishante chunitar uttamangahi. All these sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings, and Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldiers also, are rushing into your fearful mouths, and some I see trapped with heads smashed between your teeth. Purport. In the previous verse, the Lord promised to show Arjuna things he would be very interested in seeing. Now Arjuna sees that the leaders of the opposite party, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and all the sons of Dhritarashtra, and their soldiers, and Arjuna's own soldiers, are all being annihilated. This is an indication that after the death of nearly all the persons assembled at Kurukshetra, Arjuna will emerge victorious. It is also mentioned here that Bhishma, who is supposed to be unconquerable, will also be smashed. So also Karna. Not only will the great warriors of the other party, like Bhishma, be smashed, but some of the great warriors of Arjuna's side also. Text 28. Yata nadinam bhavam bhuge vega Yata nadinam bhavam bhuge vega samudram eva vimukha dravanti tatat tavami naraloka vira vishanti bhaktranya abhijvalanti. Translation. As the many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter into your blazing mouths. Text 29. Yata pradiptam jwalanam pratanga vishanti nasha yasimridda vegaha tataiva nasha yavishanti lokas tavapi vaktran simridda vegaha. I see all people rushing full speed into your mouths as moths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. Text 30. Liliyase grasamanak samantal lokan samagran vadanar joladbihi tejo bir apurya jagat samagram basas tevograk pratapanti Vishnu. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths, covering all the universe with your effulgence. You are manifest with terrible, scorching rays. Text 31. Akyahi me ko bhavan ugrarupo namostu te devavada prasida vigatum ichchami bhavantamajam nahi prajanami tava paritim. O Lord of the Lords, O fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. And that brings us to 744. So tomorrow we will hear the universal form speak to Arjuna and tell him who he is. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll stop the reading for tonight and eagerly awaiting the reflections of the assembled sages. Hare Krishna.
First is from Gopakanya Devidasi.
Haribo Gopakanya Devidasi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj. Happy in the association of all sages and your saintly company. All glories to your daily reading service of Srila Prabhupada's books, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, all glories to His divine grace and His superhuman effort to translate and comment on all these wonderful scriptures. Given us this great gift, as Krishna has given Arjuna this unbelievable vision, so Prabhupada has given us these books so that if we are submissive and hear honestly, with faith and love, without argument, we can see everything. Hare Krishna.
Rati Manjari says, Jai Guru Maharaj.
Jai Rati Manjari, Hare Krishna.
And Sudevi Dasi says, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Sudevi Dasi. So, Jiva Goswami says in his Sandarbha, the Tattva Sandarbha, that unless one actually accepts Krishna's Achintya Shakti, that he cannot properly understand who Krishna is. So the purport of that statement is that Krishna is actually unlimited. It's not just a poetic device, a poetic description. It means that he can do anything. So therefore, if he does something so wonderful as show the universal form, to Krishna and to select personalities in the universe that he decides needs to see this, then rather than just pass it off as a poetic, description, we should understand this is reality. That Arjuna was really seeing these things. To see everything in the universe while sitting in one place is impossible. Therefore, those who are faithless, as Krishna has already stated in the 9th chapter, Asharadana Purusha Dharmasyasya Pradantapa Aprapyamam Nibartante Mrityu Sangsaravartmani. If one is not faithful on this path of devotional service, then he has to come back again into this material world. So, this is a great gift. The 11th chapter is extremely important, and many times, because of the complexity of the Sanskrit and the repetition of the thoughts and how, wondrous it appears to be, impossible to even think about, devotees sometimes don't go over this chapter very much. But this chapter should be regularly gone over so that we can become, fully convinced of Krishna's unlimited potencies, his unlimited energies. Hare Krishna. Do we have something else by now or not?
Rati Manjari.
Haribo Rati.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai Haribo.
Tonight, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, you took us into the presence of the amazing universal form of Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I am grateful to Arjuna that he asked this intelligent question to Krishna to prove his divinity by showing his universal form. Now, if people do not accept Krishna as God, it is their misfortune. But those who are sincerely hearing with faith in the disciplic succession can appreciate the greatness of Krishna and know that Krishna is indeed the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Well said. Now that's what I call a reflection. Thank you very much, Rati. I deeply appreciate that reflection. It's true, it was well written, well spoken, and to the point.
From Anandamurti.
Yes, Anandamurti.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. In this material world, we are afraid of many things. I found that for such a living entity, Krishna kindly explains how he acts for all people, including materialistic people. Thank you so much for your reading today. I am feeling I am getting purified by hearing these transcendental topics.
Yes, it is wonderful. It is wonderful to hear the Bhagavad-gita with the purports carefully spoken and all the way through without skipping anything, without skipping over it. Sometimes when we read, we get to a place where it's too much for us. We just skip over it and go to the next thing. But when you hear it like this out loud, carefully and slowly, yes, it does open the eyes. That's the purpose of this sound, to open the eyes and give one a vision. And then, the so-called significant problems we have in the material world, they just become, put into the background as insignificant compared to this profound universal vision. Puts everything into proper perspective. All the, changes that are going on in the world, and all the fighting and the arguing over any little thing nowadays. It's over anything. It's not meant for us. It's not meant for us to get caught up, and our minds agitated by these things that are going on in the material world. You order something and it takes, instead of 2 weeks, it takes 25 weeks because of the supply chains are breaking down. It's like they built this monster and they can't maintain it, and therefore now it's starting to crack around the edges, and people are so used to seeing things in a moment, and getting whatever they want in a moment, The reality gets covered over by these so-called, material opulences that have been developed by the so-called, advanced human civilization. But the result is that people are in more and more anxiety. There are more and more things they have to be anxious about. Therefore, it's not progress. It's not progressing at all. People are hating each other more and more. They're fighting with each other more and more, all over nothing, simply because their lusty desires and their greed is not providing them what they want instantaneously. That's their idea of perfection. And here, Arjuna is being given the vision to see everything all at once, how everything's being destroyed. And we'll hear in the next verse, tomorrow we'll hear, how Krishna defines himself in this form. Hare Krishna.
Next is from Bhakta Jason.
Hare Krishna Bhakta Jason, Hare Bo.
He says, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is a safe haven, indeed. Maharaj, I have heard that it's not recommended to meditate on the universal form. I am wondering about it. Is it considered impersonal? Because I couldn't understand how that could be when it is Krishna, when it is the Supreme Personality, Krishna.
Well, this is the whole point, Bhakta Jason, of this chapter. So you have to hear the chapter submissively, carefully, and then we'll hear a little later on how Arjuna, responds, and then how Krishna responds to Arjuna, and then what the truth of it is. So the universal form, as Krishna has clearly stated, cannot be seen by anybody. You can't meditate on the universal form. It's not possible to meditate on the universal form. We can meditate on a little tiny fraction of idea of what the universal form is, given in the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and put in poetic descriptions of how we can see that the clouds in the sky are the hairs on the Lord's head, and the rivers are like the veins in his body, and the trees are like the hairs standing on his body, and so forth and so on and so forth. This is an imaginary form. Imaginary in the sense that it's temporary. The whole universal form comes into existence and comes out of existence in the space of one breath of Mahavishnu. So everything has to be put into proper perspective. You said that you heard that you should not meditate on the universal form, but the Bhagavatam says in the second canto that neophytes are meant to meditate on the universal form, but in a particular way. In a particular way that we see the different forms that we see in every day as different, features of God. The sun and the moon are his eyes, and so forth. So this is meant to help our minds become accustomed to think of Krishna in a personal way, even though we can't see in our neophyte condition, the materialistic condition, these things. And only when a person is given that vision by Krishna, as Arjuna was, can we see the universal form, how Krishna is entering into the universal form to create it and maintain it and destroy it. So whoever it was that you heard from that you shouldn't meditate on the universal form, I mean, there may be some truth to it, because it's not as sweet and not as pleasant and not as satisfying as Krishna's personal form, which we'll find out at the end of this chapter. But we should appreciate. We can't go to the personal form of Krishna without appreciating who he is first. That's why this chapter is there in the Gita, in the middle of the Gita. It's why there's so many descriptions of the creation and of the material cosmic manifestation in the third canto, second canto, third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, to give us a deep appreciation of how great Krishna is, so that when we actually come to the 10th canto and hear about him playing as a child in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj and pulling down Arjun trees and dancing with gopis and all the things he does when he comes in his original form, we won't take it lightly. We won't take it, we won't take it superficially. We won't consider him this to be like an ordinary activity of an ordinary person. So that's the purpose of meditating on the universal form, to help us as impersonalists come to the platform of personalism. Hare Krishna.
And from Daitari Haridas.
Daitya Haridas. Daitari Haridas. Hare Krishna.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, thanks again for these readings. Just on the point about devotees not being interested in a godless display of opulence, but being more concerned with a relationship with Krishna. I feel quite far away from this. I can really appreciate the principle, and it sounds attractive when we hear about how Krishna becomes bound by his devotees' love, and that the intimate form of Krishna in Vrindavan is supreme and superior to all other forms of God because of his loving, unrestricted intimacy with his devotees. I kind of feel like appreciating these things from a far distance because my heart is full of envy and so many other nasty things. I feel safer focusing on Krishna's unlimited power.
Well, thank you very much. You said kind of more eloquently than I did the point that as we begin our Krishna consciousness, we should appreciate the opulences of Krishna first. It's good that we do that, because by doing that, those things in the heart are put in proper perspective, and the holy name can have more effect. If we chant the holy name with deep respect, it will deep appreciation, deep respect, then our hearts will be cleansed quicker. So all of these things tie into the simple act of chanting Hare Krishna without offense. To be able to chant the pure holy name without offense, we need to assimilate these things that are in the Gita, this universal form, and Vishwarup that is described in the second canto of the Bhagavatam. This is all preparation, all preparing us to be able to enter into Krishna's personal abode and be able to, enter the pastimes of Krishna and enter into his personal association. That's why that one verse we heard about how the cowherd boys that are playing with Krishna, they should not be seen to be ordinary cowherd boys. So all of these thoughts are meant to have the proper mentality toward Krishna when we hear. Then, just as Krishna gave Arjuna the eyes to see his universal form, he'll give us the eyes to see his two-armed form, just as he does to Arjuna, to pacify his mind. Because the truth is that one can't have a loving relationship with the universal form. Prabhupada made a joke. Okay, you want to worship the universal form. You want to dress him in a nice outfit. There's not enough cloth in the world to dress the universal form, so. Anyway, Hare Krishna. I hope you get my point. Hare Krishna.
And from Rati Manjari.
Haribo Rati.
She says, "Thank you, Guru Maharaj, but I am simply trying to repeat some of the good things I am hearing from you."
Haribo. Well, that's the process, isn't it? I'm trying to repeat the good things I've heard from Srila Prabhupada. This is the parampara system, and it doesn't stop with one person or another. It's been going on since time immemorial. All these things were explained by Lord Brahma, first of all by Garbhodakashaya Vishnu to Brahma, and then Brahma to Narada to Vyasadeva, and so on, all the way down to us, through Lord Chaitanya and his associates. Yes. This is the way.
This is more from Rati Manjari. I used to read Bhagavad-gita like the I Ching, just opening it at random and trying to get some wisdom to a particular question. I still got something from that, but since I came under your shelter, I am gradually understanding how the Gita is actually to be read, patiently and submissively, from the beginning to the end. Thank you for teaching us in such a solid and thorough manner.
Thank you, Rati, because you just expressed exactly what I was thinking. Thank you very much. That was very wonderful reflection. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada wanted us, he said, you can read a little bit from a lot of books, little here, little there, little here, little there. This is what Rupa Goswami meant when he said that one should avoid reading too many books. It doesn't, if you can read all the Vedas and learn them thoroughly, more power to you. But in Kali Yuga, it's not possible. We don't have that memory, that intelligence. So if we study one book, the Bhagavad-gita, thoroughly, actually thoroughly, then we will understand everything. Then when we read the Bhagavatam, it comes to life more and more. And we hear the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we can enter into the higher realms effortlessly, without straining our brains and straining our memories and, trying to force ourselves in to these gigantic, subject matters, deep subject matters. It's revealed knowledge. It's revealed to us by Krishna when Krishna sees how eager we are to hear about him and understand him, how eager we are to know him. Then we can have deep love for Krishna. There's a French word, dilettante. Dilettante means one who just, takes a little from a lot of places and then talks about it as if he's a great knower of everything. But he doesn't know one thing. So if you build your devotional life on learning this Gita thoroughly, then you can build your house of bhakti very high through the Bhagavatam, through the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Without this foundation, I don't believe it's possible. Therefore, this is so important to hear the Bhagavad Gita like this all the way through, very carefully. It's so important. And if you do it again and again and again, eventually you'll see the connections between the verses and the sections and how it all fits together. And then your faith in Krishna will be deep, and you'll actually be able to accept it. You'll be able to accept Krishna for who he is. And then you will fall down at his feet with tears in your eyes every time you chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Bhakta Jason says, thanks so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. You're welcome, Bhakta Jason. Thank you very much for the reflections, for allowing me to reflect on your reflections. It's so wonderful, so blissful, so deep.
One more from Rati Manjari.
Haribo Rati, this is more like it.
She says, yes, a dilettante. That sounds like me. I have so much to learn, and I am so glad that Krishna sent you to me to become a serious devotee.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad-gita ki, whoops, there's more. Go ahead.
The rest of it, she says, Guru Maharaj, I have noticed that you did not read to us the Nectar of Devotion. Is there any chance that you will read this book to us?
Yeah, there's a great chance. There's a great chance. Thanks for reminding me. I already have the plan to read the Bhagavatam next. Then after that I'll read Nectar Devotion, just because you asked me. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad-gita As It Is ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bo. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow night. Same time, same place, same topic. The unlimited glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In all opulence and in all sweetness. Hare Krishna.